All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, action. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Erin Marvin Show podcast, episode 1. My name is Neil. Thank you for joining me. You probably clicked on this wondering what you were going to see, and honestly, I wish I had the answer for you. I've been pacing back and forth through my kitchen all morning, trying to figure out how I'm going to start this, what I'm going to say. And it's just, no matter how many times you do a radio show in your head or are just talking to yourself throughout the day, when you're sitting in front of cameras with a microphone in your face, there's just something very unnatural about it. And that's kind of part of the reason that I'm doing this, is because it's something that I want to get better at, and something that I think I need practice with. I think I need practice with articulating my thoughts to the world. And I think that a lot of times people like to share their thoughts with the world, but they don't do it in a way that makes it clear what they're trying to get at. Kind of like I'm doing right now. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Let me adjust this microphone here quick. So basically, I'm just going to sit here and talk for a little bit. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing pretty good. And good enough that I want to sit and have a little chat with everybody and get this podcast rolling and off the ground. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm finally doing it. And you know what? I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself because, you know, there's a lot of things in life that you want to do or try, but you're just kind of afraid to do it or don't know how to get the ball rolling. And I'm starting to realize that you just got to push the ball and see what happens. You can't just sit there and look at it and stand around and kind of think about what might happen if you get the ball rolling. You kind of just got to walk up to it and give that ball a little nudge and see what happens. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. There's not a whole lot going on right now. We're in Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota. I live in Minnesota, and there's a lot of excitement going on right now. For one, I did something yesterday that I have not done in probably 2 to 3 years. I shoveled snow yesterday because last year I was living in an apartment and the maintenance crew took care of shoveling all the snow. But now I'm living in a house again, and guess who gets to shovel the snow? And you know, it's one of those things about being a Minnesotan that kind of just makes you appreciate the state that you live in, because let's face it, 6 months out of the year, it's wintertime. And either you put up with it and you make it work for you, or you complain about it and let it get you down. And I'm one of those people where at the end of the day, it might get me down, but I'll be darned if I'm not going to fight like the Vikings fought to make it work for me. And that's the other exciting thing that's going on in Minnesota right now. You know, it's really not a state with a whole lot going on. And sports is something that a lot of people here are really proud of. And historically, there's not a ton to be proud of. So when stuff like what happened on Sunday happened, the Vikings pulling off the most improbable, incredible victory that I've probably ever seen in my lifetime as a Minnesota Vikings fan, Minnesota sports fan, it just makes you feel so good the endorphins and what was running through my body on Sunday was just incredible. The game was over for 3 hours and I was like still sweating and my heart was still beating out of my chest. It's just one of those things that you have to, if there's nothing in your life that gives you that feeling, I hope that one day you find it, because it is like putting your body through the greatest stress test that I can think of, which is absolutely just silly to say, considering it's just a sport and a football game. But what that means to me and what that means to a lot of people in this state, you cannot take that away from me. So congratulations to the Vikings. They're 8-1. The Eagles lost last night. The Eagles are also 8-1. And guess what? I saw the power rankings today. Pro Football Talk put out. Guess who is the number one team in the NFL? The Minnesota Vikings, baby. Oh, man, that feels good. That feels good. Like I was saying, there's only about a handful of games I can think of that have ever made me feel that way. And this one is gotta be, I'll say it's number 2 currently. Number 1 was the Minneapolis Miracle, the last second touchdown, Stephon Diggs. Everybody knows that game. Number 2 would be probably this game. And then number 3, I can't think of any other games, but number 3 would be the game where Brett Favre hit Greg Lewis in the back of the end zone for a touchdown at the Metrodome to beat the 49ers back in the day. That was awesome. But yeah, enough about the Vikings. Good luck the rest of the season. Thank you for all the entertainment. Every game I watch, I send. Whenever we're down, I just focus really hard and I imagine all this positive energy just radiating from my body and sending it into all the Vikings players' bodies. And so far, it's been working out for me. I've been getting some of my friends into this too, sending their energy to the Vikings. I watched the game with Chinsky, one of my very best friends. We were on FaceTime together, and I told him that he needed to channel his positive energy and send it to the Vikings. And he said, I tried to tell him, like, imagine that you're just radiating this energy and sending it to them. But he said what he imagined was that he was a carrier pigeon, and he was sending a carrier pigeon with his best well wishes to each of the Vikings players. So each of the Vikings players received a carrier pigeon that had the message of, I love you, you're doing your best, I see you, I care about you, and I just want the best for you. And turns out, I'm not saying anything, I'm not saying that this was the reason that we won, but we did win. Is there a correlation? I'm not sure. Well, but we're just going to keep the good luck rolling. Congratulations to the Vikings. Yeah, it's kind of a interesting thing when you do a podcast, I'm finding out. Let me adjust my microphone quick. Kind of, we're at this point where anybody can get a microphone and a camera and sit in front of it and press record and just share their thoughts with the rest of the world. And I think that is a really incredible thing, because there's a lot of people doing it right now, and I think that's great. I just really, the way technology is now today is incredible. I mean, if you would have told me when I was a 6-year-old kid in like first grade who was obsessed with like TV and people on TV, and I wanted to be on TV, like TV shows like All That, where there was kids on TV. I thought that was incredible. And if I would have known that when I grew up, I could just do that on my own. I could just make videos of myself doing a show and post it on the internet, that would blow little Neil's mind. So it's pretty cool. But what am I trying to get out of this podcast? Well, one, like I talked about, like I just want to get good at articulating my thoughts. And something that I used to do when I was in school, in college, I used to anchor the local news on television, actually. And that was something that I did enjoy. I did enjoy being in front of a camera and speaking. And so that's something that I've gotten out of touch with, but I want to get back into. It's one thing when you're on TV reading a teleprompter and you know exactly what to say. It's actually kind of easy. You're just reading a script, but it's another thing to just be off the top of your head. And right now I wrote down like one little page of notes to help me out. And thanks to everybody who's still listening and hearing me kind of feel this out on the fly. Yeah, so the reasons that I'm doing this, I wrote down that I want to work on self-confidence. Like I said, I want to get good at sharing my thoughts with the world and being confident in myself and not being ashamed to talk and not feel like what I have to say isn't worthwhile for people to listen to. And I just want this to be like a positive space for anybody who is watching and wants to watch. Like, I don't want this to be a place where I'm being judgmental or putting out opinions just for clicks and saying like hateful or mean things about people or things going on in the world right now. Maybe that might happen, but I'm going to try to avoid that because I just want this to be a peaceful, positive place for people to come and enjoy just listening to somebody talk, just like you're having a conversation with one of your friends. And another thing is really like with social media, I feel like it's so easy to share your opinions and put your opinions in front of other people, but sometimes I just don't want to see that. Like, I am on social media a lot. It's something that I have a little bit of a problem with, I would say. A little bit of a problem as in I am consuming it to the extent every day that I don't even want to be consuming it anymore. I'm just doing it out of habit. And throughout the course of that time spent on social media, I'm reading a lot of people's opinions that I didn't ask for. Like I'm just scrolling through Twitter and I'm just reading a lot of stuff from people I don't even follow. People I don't know who these people are. Their profile picture is like not even them. Their name is not even them, and I'm reading this opinion. So it's like, who is this person, and why am I consuming what they think if I don't even know who this person is? So that's my long-winded way of saying I want to use this podcast as a way for me, if I have something that's on my mind that I need to share, I will share it here, where people who are choosing to click on this video, to click on this podcast and listen to, they can hear what I have to say. But I don't want to be a person who is like forcing my opinions and my thoughts and my ideas on people who, just unsolicited. It's like Twitter is like somebody knocking on your door, you answer it, and they're trying to sell you something that you didn't ask for. It's like not an invasion of privacy, or like it's an invasion of my brain. I didn't know what I was gonna see when I logged on, but I just don't need to see everybody's opinions all at once. I need to be a little bit more thoughtful on whose ideas I'm seeking out. I think. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but anyways, what else we got to talk about today? Yeah, so if you need me, if you care what I have to say, I'll be over here talking. Some other things that I had jotted down, I just kind of want to get a gauge on what everybody else is into online. I feel like apps and platforms with their algorithms, everybody's content that they see is so widely different and just kind of like niche on this type of stuff that they're seeing. So I'm just curious to see what are some common themes on other people's social media platforms. What's the type of content that you are consuming? You can leave it in the comments, what type of stuff you're into online these days, or you can email me. Send an email to neil@erinmarvin.com, and I will read that. And I really am curious to see what everybody else is into. Like, what is on your YouTube algorithm right now? I watch YouTube every day. I find it almost better than TV these days because of that kind of that niche factor. I mean, lately I've been getting into stuff like, I really like geography and kind of like United States history. So kind of been on a rabbit hole of like top 10 worst small towns in America, or like top 10 best small towns in America, or top spookiest places in America, or like creepiest places in America, stuff like that. I really like learning about different towns and how they came to be and why they're there, what they're famous for, kind of what made this city or town a thing. Is that thing still going on there, and what they're rebounding from, how they're rebounding from now. For one example, I was watching a bunch of videos on Detroit and how Detroit kind of exploded at one point with, automotive manufacturing and all that sort of thing. Those jobs kind of went away, but there's still a city there that exists and people that live there. So it's like, the timeline of this city rises to prominence and then it's kind of down, but now it's kind of trying to recover. So stuff like that just interests me. Other stuff on my YouTube algorithm, this has been a fascination of mine for a long time, and this is I'll say a guilty pleasure, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, is chiropractor videos. I love watching chiropractor videos where it's just like a chiropractor and it's his appointment with a patient, and he or she, the chiropractor, just shows like all the cracks, every little thing that they're doing, all this medical terminology that I don't really understand, but those cracks, I love to hear those. There's a guy, I think his name is like Dr. Anderson or something. He's a chiropractor in Houston, and he does this thing called the ring dinger, where he like lays you on your back on a table. He elevates your feet up, and then he pins you in on the sides of your hips so that your hips can't move and you can't get away. And then he wraps a towel around your neck. And while you're laying on the table with this towel around your neck, he grabs onto the towel and he just yanks your neck, and it's supposed to like elongate your whole spine. And the sounds that this guy gets out of these people when he does this sounds like it feels so good. I know some people are kind of like cringe when they uh, hear people crack their neck or crack their back, but that sound to me just sounds like just sweet, sweet relief. And I actually found it's called the ring dinger, and not a lot of chiropractors do this, but I found one chiropractor in Minnesota who does the ring dinger, and they just started kind of seems like they just started selling this service recently. So I'm doing the research and seeing if maybe I will be something that I would like to receive in the future is the ring dinger. I kind of want to get it from the original guy who does it, but I think he sells this course or teaches this practice to other chiropractors, and there's one in Minnesota now who's doing it. So that might be something that I need to do. Did I talk about this yet? What do you want or what do you like to hear? What kind of podcasts do you listen to? Do you listen to podcasts? Is this your first time seeing something like this? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, how people consume media, because I know how I consume it, and if everybody consumed it the way I did, the world would be a very strange and interesting place. But we can get that into that later. If you have any questions for me, we can get into that on a future episode. If you have any specific questions for me, again, it's neil@erinmarvin.com. Hit me up. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? Some other stuff I wanted to touch on is kind of what I've been listening to lately. I really love music, and if you're tuning into the Erin Marvin show, you may know that I do make music of my own. That's something I started about 2 years ago. I started it during the pandemic, coronavirus, as they called it. And my first song actually was Coronavirus Kiss My Ass. So I've been releasing songs and creating songs over the last couple of years. And that's something I do want to continue to do. And that's another one of those things of something I always wanted to do, but I was kind of scared to get the ball rolling. And I finally did. And I'm actually really proud of myself for what I've put out so far. I'm not a musician. I've never played instruments in my life. I was in choir when I was a kid, but this is just something I didn't really take seriously, but I have always loved music. So yeah, I look forward to putting out more music. I'm going to start working on that. This winter I really just want to hunker down and get this podcast project going, record some more tunes, and just kind of make content, make the type of stuff that makes me feel good, because I spend a lot of time consuming stuff that doesn't make me feel that good all the time. So, just trying to make positive changes in my life. But anyways, stuff that I've been listening to lately, and I would love to hear what you guys have been listening to lately as well. The big thing that I have on repeat right now is the Drake and 21 Savage album, Her Loss. I have been listening to that a lot. Drake gets a lot of flack for, I think, his presence online, or like the way the media perceives him. I don't know the guy. I don't know if he's a good guy, a bad guy, but the way his music makes me feel just makes me feel very good. So I've been listening to that album, and I really am a big fan of 21 Savage too, as well. He's like, he inspires somebody like me, because I can't think of anybody else with such a monotone delivery that still makes good music that I like to listen to. Somebody with a more, it's not even bland or boring to me, but like just the way it is, like it's just so monotone, but I still enjoy listening to it, because that inspires somebody like me, because I feel like I have a monotone voice and delivery, and I'm trying, I need examples in my life of people who are also like that, but still make good music. So it just gives me hope. So thank you, 21 Savage. Another thing I've been listening to a lot lately, in my car, I borrowed a bunch of CDs from Chinsky, and one of the CDs that he has is the Juicy J Stay Trippy. So I don't have a aux cord in my car. I don't have Bluetooth or anything like that. So if I want to listen to music, I have to either put in earbuds, which is dangerous. I have to bring a Bluetooth speaker, which is just an extra step, or I can just listen to the radio or listen to a CD. So I've been listening to CDs lately, and the one that's stuck in there right now is the Juicy J Stay Trippy. That's a good CD. It's got some, it is a reflection of its time. I think it came out in like 2015, but anyways, I'm sure there's some Juicy J fans out there who know that album. It's a good one. A band's a make a dance. A band's a make a dance. All these chicks clapping, and they ain't using hands. What else do I want to talk about? That's I ran through the list. The list has kind of been exhausted. One thing I do see on here, the Minnesota Twins, I was talking about being a Minnesota sports fan. The Twins have been pretty bad for a long time now. But on November 18th, so a few days after this podcast is being recorded, they're going to be unveiling, I believe, new uniforms and possibly new logos. I'm not exactly sure. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm somebody who is very interested in what sports teams wear and what their brand is and their identity. So a team that I like or a team that I've supported for my whole life is get something new. It kind of makes me nervous, but we'll see. Hopefully they do a good job with it. What else? I want to give a couple shout outs right now. One shout out I want to give to Charlie, and I want to give another shout out to Mandy. They said that they would listen to my podcast. So if they're still listening and they're out there and they hear it and they made it this far, shout out to both of you, Charlie and Mandy. Charlie bought me dinner a few nights ago. I went to the gym after the Vikings won because I was still excited. My heart was racing. I had this pent up energy that I needed to release. So I went to the gym. I go to Planet Fitness, and next door to the Planet Fitness, there is a White Castle. And White Castle is something that it's like a once every 5 years thing for me going to White Castle. I have nothing bad to say about White Castle. It's just not something that I seek out more than like once every 5 years. So that happened to be Sunday, and I got a 10-pack of cheesy sliders, and I needed to share that news with somebody. So I snapped Charlie and I said, "Hey, I know you love White Castle too. I'm getting a 10-pack of sliders." And he's like, "No, you're not going to do it." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to get the sliders." He said, "Prove it." So I sent him the picture of me with my sliders, and he said, "I'll give you $10 if you eat all 10 of them." So I ate all 10 of them. And yeah, we will see you in 5 years again, White Castle. Thank you very much. So Charlie gave me $10. The sliders was like $8.99 or something. It's like $9 for 10 little baby burgers. They're pretty good. I don't know. And then last night, as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm gonna go exercise, because that is something that I do for my mental health, especially in the winter now. I like to try to take care of my body, and I'm just gonna go put in a good workout, and then I'm gonna edit this podcast down and see what we got. But so Sunday for dinner was White Castle, and then last night I got invited by Tapper and Erin who live upstairs right now. I don't know if they're home, but they invited me to Culver's. We went to Culver's to get their buffalo chicken tenders, and those were very good. So, moral of the story, I've had a fast food restaurant for dinner for the last 2 nights. That's not something that I generally do, but it's something that I shouldn't feel bad about. And yeah, I'm gonna try to eat decent for the rest of the week, I think. But anyways, I think I'm gonna go take care of that, go to the gym, get some exercise in. I hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I'm gonna be back again next week. Same situation here going on. If you guys have any ideas for me, any comments or criticisms of this podcast, please share them. You know, I try to be as self-aware as I possibly can be, but I'm sure there's some blind spots in the way that I think and do things. So if you have any advice for me, life advice, anything you want to say, any questions for me, again, put them in the comments or email Neil, that's Neil, at erinmarvin.com, ErinMarvin.com. And yeah, we'll see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And